Most people know the story of Jesus, but here's something that might surprise you. In ancient Gnostic traditions, Jesus wasn't seen as a solitary figure. He had a counterpart, a divine feminine presence named Sophia. Some called her his syzygy, his perfect spiritual twin. Others described her as the bride of Christ, not in the romantic sense, but as a symbol of unity and cosmic balance. Sophia represents wisdom itself, but her story is anything but serene. She's tied to humanity's fall, the creation of the material world, and even the redemption of the soul. Who was she really, and why was her story erased from mainstream Christianity? Stick around, because Sophia's tale is as captivating as it is mysterious. So let's start with Sophia herself. In Gnostic cosmology, she's not just an abstract idea of wisdom. She's a living, divine being. The word Sophia comes from Greek and literally means wisdom. But in Gnosticism, she's so much more than that. Think of her as a cosmic principle, an emanation of the monad, this ultimate, ineffable source of all existence. The monad is like the beginning of everything, the one thing that cannot be comprehended. And Sophia, along with other beings called Aeons, emanate from this monad. She's part of the Pleroma, the fullness of the divine realm where all is harmony, unity, and perfection. Now, what are Aeons? They're essentially aspects or attributes of the divine. But Aeons are not to be confused with archons, which will be mentioned later, which are world-governing powers created by the Demiurge, whose goal it is to keep humans trapped in the physical world. Aeons are divine beings that exist between the true God and the individual's divine pieces. You can think of them as archetypes or expressions of the monad's infinite nature. Sophia, in particular, is associated with wisdom, creativity, and intuition. But here's the thing. Gnosticism isn't about static perfection. It's about stories, journeys, and mistakes, something we'll see play out in Sophia's own dramatic tale. Gnosticism loves a good cosmic drama, and Sophia's fall is at the heart of it. According to the Apocryphon of John, Sophia had a moment of independence. She wanted to understand the unknowable, essentially to grasp the nature of the monad itself, which was beyond even her comprehension. She acted alone, without the consent of the divine totality, and this action set off a chain reaction. The Apocryphon of John describes this fall and its consequences. And she, Sophia, wanting to bring forth something like herself without the consent of the Spirit, it had not come to know the perfection of the Pleroma, and it made something that was imperfect and different from its nature. This imperfect creation, Yaldabaoth, or the Demiurge, becomes the false god who traps humanity in ignorance. Yaldabaoth is depicted as arrogant, ignorant, and blind to the divine realm. The Gnostics describe him as a lion-faced serpent, a symbol of his chaotic and distorted nature. In his ignorance, he declares himself the sole god of the universe, famously saying, "I am God, and there is no other God beside me." But the Gnostics saw this as ignorant. To them, he is a counterfeit God, a tragic byproduct of Sophia's unbalanced creative act. But why did this happen? Some traditions suggest it wasn't just a mistake but also a test. Sophia's fall mirrors the human condition, our tendency to act out of ignorance or longing, leading us away from the divine. The need for a redeemer arises to correct this error, someone who can awaken humanity and guide them back to the Pleroma. This is where Jesus, often referred to as the light in Gnostic texts, enters the story. In several of these Gnostic texts, Jesus is portrayed not only as humanity's savior, but also as Sophia's redeemer. For instance, in Pistis Sophia, Sophia calls out for help after her fall into the lower realms of chaos, where she is trapped and tormented by the archons, the rulers of the material world. Sophia's plea is heart-wrenching. O light of lights, I have transgressed in the 12 eons, and I have descended from them. Wherefore I am in this region, and therefore have I cried out for help, and my voice hath gone forth into the height. In response, Jesus descends through the layers of the cosmos to rescue her. It came to pass then, when I saw the light, that I was greatly strengthened, and I knew that it came to help me, and I was strengthened, and I sang praises to the light, that it had come to save me from the chaos. And I was in great affliction in the chaos and the merciless ones, who were afflicting my power, and the lion-faced light power, who would not let me go out of the chaos. Here, Sophia describes her suffering in the chaotic realms controlled by the archons, and how the light associated with Jesus comes to her aid. Jesus' descent to confront the archons is implied in this role as the savior who liberates Sophia from these oppressive forces. This act is symbolic of the Gnostic view of Jesus as a redeemer who not only rescues Sophia, but also empowers human souls trapped in the material world by the same archonic powers. In Gnostic tradition, Jesus is often equated with the Logos, the divine word or reason, and serves as the bearer of Gnosis, while Sophia represents the error that leads to the material world. Jesus represents the knowledge that corrects that error and brings liberation. The Apocryphon of John describes Jesus as the one sent to bring knowledge to humanity. And he, the monad, sent this Ennoia, which is his Christ, to bring those who had gone astray and to make them return. This mission applies to Sophia as well. Just as Jesus brings gnosis to humanity, he helps Sophia rediscover her connection to the divine and return to her rightful place in the Pleroma. The parallels between Sophia's redemption and humanity's salvation underscore their shared journey of awakening and restoration. Sophia and Jesus represent complementary aspects of the divine plan in Gnostic theology. Sophia embodies wisdom, the divine feminine, and the creative force, while Jesus represents the Logos, the divine masculine, and the principle of order and reason. The Pistis Sophia highlights this synergy, portraying Jesus as the one who understands Sophia's plight and responds with compassion and action. I am come to aid her and to bring her up from chaos, for she is my consort and my partner in the light. Their connection is not one of opposition, but of unity. Sophia's fall creates the conditions for separation, and Jesus' intervention brings about the possibility of reunification with the divine source. Sophia's redemption through Jesus serves as a model for humanity's own spiritual journey. Just as Jesus restores Sophia, he offers salvation to all souls trapped in the material world by the Demiurge. Sophia's story is a cosmic mirror of the human condition, illustrating the process of descent into ignorance and the eventual return to the divine through gnosis. In the Gospel of Truth, this theme of redemption is echoed. He it is who brought back Sophia, who created that which is hers and subjected it to her Father. In Gnosticism, Sophia and Jesus are deeply connected figures, representing different aspects of the divine story. Sophia embodies the fall into ignorance and separation, while Jesus represents the light and knowledge that restores harmony. Together, their roles illustrate the Gnostic path, a journey from separation to awakening, from error to truth, and from the material to the divine. Through their intertwined narratives, Sophia and Jesus offer a profound vision of redemption and the ultimate reunion with the source of all being. One of the most fascinating things about Sophia is her dual nature. She's both divine and fallen. In some Gnostic texts, this is described as her being split into two aspects, Higher Sophia and Lower Sophia. Higher Sophia remains in the Pleroma, connected to the monad. She's still part of the divine fullness and represents pure, uncorrupted wisdom. Lower Sophia, though, is the part of her that falls into the chaos of the material world. She's trapped, much like human souls are believed to be trapped in the physical world. This duality is deeply symbolic. Higher Sophia is a reminder of our divine origin, while Lower Sophia represents our struggle in the material world. She's the part of us that feels separated, lost, and yearning for something more. And in Gnosticism, this isn't a flaw, it's part of the process. Her story reflects the journey we're all on, a journey of descent, struggle, and eventual return to the source. Sophia's story isn't just about her fall, it's also about her redemption, and that's where Gnosticism offers a hopeful message. In the hypostasis of the archons, it said, "She was given help and was restored to her place in the Pleroma, and her offspring were left behind as shadows." Her redemption is a collaborative effort. The monad, Jesus, and the other eons intervene to restore her to her divine place. But here's the key: even though she's restored, her actions have lasting consequences. The material world, our world, remains, as does the Demiurge and his flawed creation. This is where Gnosis comes in. Gnosis means knowledge, but not the kind you get from books or lectures. It's spiritual knowledge, an awakening to the divine spark within you. The Gnostics believe that just as Sophia fell, so too did the fragments of the divine light. That light exists within us, and through Gnosis we can awaken it and return to the Pleroma. So in a way, Sophia isn't just a figure in Gnostic mythology, she's a guide. Her journey mirrors our own spiritual struggles and offers a path toward redemption. Her fall wasn't the end of the story, it was the beginning of a greater process of understanding and returning to the divine. Sophia is also one of the earliest depictions of the divine feminine in Western spirituality. In many ways, she balances the masculine aspects of divinity, often emphasized in other traditions. While the monad represents unity and transcendence, Sophia embodies intuition, creativity, and the immanent connection between the divine and the material. Her story also challenges traditional narratives about creation and authority. In mainstream Christian theology, the material world is created intentionally by a perfect God. In Gnosticism, the material world is an accident, a flawed creation born from Sophia's fall. But this doesn't make Sophia the villain. Instead, she's a deeply relatable figure. She makes a mistake and suffers for it, but she also redeems herself and helps guide others toward the light. You might be wondering, Is there anything in the Bible that connects to this idea of Sophia? While the Gnostic Sophia isn't explicitly mentioned in the traditional Bible, there are some fascinating parallels, especially when it comes to the personification of wisdom. In fact, the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament often portrays wisdom as a female figure, one that shares striking similarities with Sophia. Taking a look at the book of Proverbs, for example, in chapter 8, wisdom speaks as though she's a living being, saying, "The Lord created me at the beginning of his work, the first of his acts of long ago. When he established the heavens, I was there." This sounds a lot like the Gnostic Sophia, who is also described as being present at the dawn of creation. It's almost like wisdom is depicted as an active participant in the divine process, just as Sophia is part of the Pleroma in Gnostic thought. Then there's the Wisdom of Solomon, an apocryphal text found in some Christian traditions, particularly Catholicism and Eastern Orthodox. It says, "She is a reflection of eternal light, a spotless mirror of the working of God, and an image of his goodness." This description of wisdom as a divine emanation feels very Gnostic, almost as if Sophia of these traditions is peeking through. Gnostics may have in fact drawn inspiration from these kinds of biblical passages when developing their cosmology. Even in the New Testament, there are some intriguing nods to wisdom. For instance, in Luke 7:35 it says, "Yet wisdom is justified by all her children." And in 1 Corinthians, Paul refers to Christ as the wisdom of God. So while Sophia as a distant figure doesn't appear in the Bible, the threads are there, woven through the text in ways that later thinkers picked up and ran with. It's possible that the idea of wisdom as a living feminine principle was powerful enough to spark entirely new spiritual frameworks. So why should we care about Sophia now, thousands of years after these texts were written? The story of Sophia is timeless. It's about the human condition, our desire to know, create, understand the unknown. And it's about what happens when we get lost in the process. Sophia reminds us that mistakes are part of the journey. Her fall wasn't the end, it was a step towards something greater. Through her redemption, she shows us that it's never too late to find our way back. In a world that often feels chaotic and disconnected, Sophia's story offers a message of hope, that wisdom, even when it stumbles, can lead us back to the light. So the next time you feel lost or disconnected, think of Sophia. Her story is a reminder that even in our imperfections, we are still part of something divine. Once again, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think of the story of Sophia. Let me know if you connect with her story and in what ways. Let me know any topics you want us to cover in the future. Please remember to like the video and subscribe for more. Thanks again for listening. Until next time.